We're going to plant this new concrete planter up with Nerines, which we've got growing in the back bank, and we've lifted a whole clump of them here, which I'm going to divide up. These haven't been doing anything, they've been far too far back in our border, they've been there for years, and we've used them as a stock source of these lovely bulbs that are sitting almost on the surface. And these take a year and a bit to get going, but next year these will grow on beautifully, and they should flower because they're good size, healthy plants. And they're a lovely colour, this Nerine. It's this lovely rich pink variety which we've taken sequentially out the back of that border and planted them all along in this gravel. And what we're going to do now, we've seen these growing beautifully in pots, so we're going to have this pot that we can move around and hopefully position for maximum impact in this garden. So I've got a lovely bit of old crop which I'm going to use over the hole just to make sure the drainage is good. And then what we've got here is really good, well-rotted garden compost out of the back compost heap at the bottom of the vegetable patch. This is lovely crumbly stuff, but it does have some root running through it from the hedge. So I'm going to sieve all this and remove any root material before I plant this pot up, and we'll fill it to within about 8 inches of the top initially. So let's get on and do that. So there's my planter filled with this lovely crumbly compost. There's still a good deal of organic matter left in here, and it will compress down and sink quite a bit, I think, over the next couple of years. But it should have lots of lovely nutrients in there as well. I'm not going to put any slow release or other chemical fertilizers in here at all. So we've left a gap of approximately 6 inches, and what we're going to do now is split those Nerines and circulate them around this planter and hold them in place so that we've got a good planting. And then we're just going to cover them so that there's still just a little bit of green showing, and hopefully these Nerines will start growing away next spring. They may not do anything over the winter months, but next spring we should see those fresh growths coming up, and then we'll get a plant of lovely green leaves, followed this time next autumn by some beautiful flowers. So let's get those planted up. These really are some cracking little Nerine bulblets. You can see how they divide with babies coming off the base of these, and we're just going to plant these in situ. If they are bigger form bulblets like this, you can actually plant those as a separate bulb in between the larger ones. But these are absolutely beautiful bulbs. We're planting these effectively in the green as you would snowdrops after flowering in the early part of the summer. These we're planting in the green now, and we've got a good 15 or 20 bulbs out of this clump, some large, some small, but I think most of these are going to be flowering size by next year, so well worth digging up and dividing this really overcrowded clump. They're going to really do much better as a result. Well, there we are, nicely spaced, a good variation in bulb size, but a real good potful, estimated that just right. And now what I'm going to do is just feed in around these with some soil, very gently, just holding them in position with the soil, not putting it all in at any one time, just so they keep their position that I've selected for them. And then we'll go on in filling once we've got them secure with spade loads. And we're going to fill this to within around 3 inches of the top, I think, and we should still just have those green top shoots of the Nerine showing so we can see where they are. But also, while they're in the green, they will still make a little bit of plant food, so we don't want to completely bury them. Let's get my spade in there now and just finish the job. There we go, job done. Just see the tips poking through. Too deep for the spaniel to be bothered about them. I'm not going to water this because the compost is nice and moist. If it does dry out over the next week or so, I will give it a top watering just to keep those in place, and I don't want the compost to dry out because you can see the amount of fresh root growth that's still on those Nerines. You still want those to take in the nutrients, so we'll just leave those now and water as necessary. But hopefully we'll be able to show you a beautiful pot of Nerines in around a year's time.